Hey traders, Justin here. How did you guys like that dump? That wholesale dumping of Bitcoin, fraught with all the rumors of the Goldman Sachs ETF and market sentiment revolving around that and this and that and fundamental analysis and people talking about the fact that all these ICOs are dumping Ethereum and nobody really knows what the real reason is and everybody's chasing for a conspiracy theory rock to flip up and over and try to understand. So just to break it down, and I am not known for following the news super well. That is my partner Scott's job. But from what I understand of the news, here is the latest scuttlebutt. So as we all know, Bitcoin experienced a massive drop right after, funnily enough, I shot a video predicting that Bitcoin price would drop. In fact, the name of the video was Bitcoin is going down. And that was based on technical analysis. And everything that follows will be based on technical analysis. But I feel that it is germane to the conversation to touch briefly upon these rumors and this scuttlebutt. So let's get into it. So we know that Bitcoin dropped precipitously on the 6th or the 5th. Let's see here. Started on the 4th, and it continued through the 5th and the 6th, and bottomed out just recently here on the 8th. And for those of you who were in the market and were leveraged long, man, that was painful. I know it was painful. A very large amount of money left the total market cap in a very short period of time. I believe it was on the order of magnitude of $50 billion left extremely quickly. And the rumor on the street is that the announcement that Goldman Sachs was shelving their trader desk, their ETFs, their plans for an ETF, their plans for an exchange, their plans for whatever they're trying to do, came out directly before this massive dump. And now now Goldman Sachs has come out, their CEO has come out and said that no, what are you talking about? We're not shelving anything. That's crazy. Forward with what we're talking with what we were planning to do. So the rumor is that apparently Goldman Sachs entered like a 12,000 BTC short or something along those lines right before that announcement was made, which was supposedly fake news, but then led to the dump, which led to an extremely profitable short position, especially if you over leveraged. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Nobody knows if that's true. The only people who know if that's true are, you could probably count them on one hand. And rumors and speculation like this always fly around. And the reason that I bring this up is that you don't actually need to worry about these kind of things. Because you can just look at the charts and see that you don't need a reason. You can just see that the market moves the way the market's going to move. Technical analysis works. Fundamental analysis works also, but it's just not my brand. It's not how I do things. So with that aside, let's talk briefly about Ethereum. I, as many of you know, am a Bitcoin maximalist. I've traded altcoins for the past 2 years because they've been extremely profitable instruments to trade, and I have a family to feed. However, I've never had a long-term faith in any of these altcoins. I think that they're all garbage. I think that they will not work. I think that money is money. If you guys would like to know more about why I feel the way that I feel, feel free to leave a comment down below, but I'll sum it up very simply as Bitcoin, the way it started out originally was, the best way that I can describe Bitcoin is it is a crusade to establish sound money for the world. And that is potentially the most benevolent, or not even benevolent, the most self-interested, selfish thing that you could possibly do to make the world a better place. If you actively want to make the world a better place, if you're looking around and you don't like what you see, if you don't like the left, if you don't like the right, if you don't like Trump, if you don't like Pelosi, if you don't like this, if you don't like China, if you don't like the tariffs, if you don't like your government, if you don't like oppression, if you're in a war-torn country, the greatest thing that you could possibly do for your own self-interest and for the world is to help spread the adoption of Bitcoin to sound money. Because governments create most of the problems in the world. The initiation of the use of force creates most of the problems in the world. And Bitcoin attempts to usurp the power of central banks and governments to print money, to establish a sound money so that people can actually have a reliable and secure savings, which allows them to plan for the future, which will help people escape from poverty, which will help society improve, which will help us escape the shackles of economic slavery that we have been subjected to for the past several thousand years. Bitcoin is a crusade to save mankind from slavery, the most pernicious kind of slavery, economic slavery, slavery of the ignorant, slavery of ignorance to economics and basic human fundamentals of action. If you guys would like more reading material upon this, feel free to check out Murray Rothbard is a great resource for some of this reading. Also, I recommend J.W. Weatherman on YouTube and on Twitter. He is a very bright, intelligent mind, and he is out there doing the best that he can to proselytize and spread the message of true Bitcoin adoption. And there are thousands upon thousands of other people trying to do exactly the same thing, trying to spread the message of Bitcoin as sound money. Now, I'm doing the same thing. It's just that I, in my hustle, in my niche, am a trader, and I am able to capitalize upon the market moves of something that's going to happen anyways. Human beings are interested in money and interested in trading and interested in markets. That's going to happen in any kind of free trade environment where human beings are free to act as they want to. You're going to have this type of instrumentality. And if you are able to take advantage of it, as I am, and as I'm trying to teach you guys to with my videos, then why not? By the way, yes, I am wearing a hat. My friend for the next video, so shout out to Dan. What's up, guy? So without further ado, guys, let us jump quickly into the charts. Dun, 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 the charts. All right, so I've got Bitcoin pulled up on the 12-hour chart here. And this is going to be kind of awkward because I've got the monitor to my left. So bear with me, guys. So let's check it out here. So the last time that we had, the last video that I had made, pardon me, I had not drawn this trend line. This is a newly drawn trend line. And the reason this is a newly drawn trend line is because this was the dominant trend line that I did not think would be the trend line. And as you can see, I was proven right. Now, the prior trend line, if we measure this high to, sorry. Okay. So if we measure these two highs, we can see that I did talk about the false breakout, trade that occurred, the failed rally. And that's what gives us this second trend line that we can trade off of now. However, we did retrace and we fell back toward the bottom of the trading range. Here, let me zoom out so you guys can see just a little bit better what I'm doing. So as you can see that as I was talking then, obviously we're moving into a descending triangle, a nice descending right angle triangle. And, this is obviously we're in a downward trend. Momentum is slowing and bullish momentum has been fairly impressive. But as we can see, unfortunately, bullish momentum has been losing the battle. So if we were to look at ADX overlaid over this 12-hour chart, we would see that DI negative, or negative directional index movement is much higher than positive directional index movement, which is not usually a market that we want to trade into because it means that the trend is not being broken. Now we can see that the brakes are being pumped with these bullish moves upwards, especially after touching this resistance line, which is held steady around the upper 5,000 limit. We haven't really hung out at all for any time at all below 6,000. We've not spent an extended period of time below 6,000. And I know that many people are morose and sad about the idea of trading extendedly below 6,000, but you have to accept the market and the price action that comes your way. And there are profitable trades to make. So as we can see, this initial trend line that I'd drawn, when I made my last video on September 4th, we were right here, right at the precipice. And the title of my video was Bitcoin is going down. And I laid out two options. I said that most likely we are going to fall down. I mean, I said for sure we're going to fall down and retrace and test this trend line. But the potential exists for us to go a little bit higher. And I remember, you can actually see if I zoom in here a little bit, I had gotten some messages for some people because, like, keep in mind, I made the video like right here, I think, because it was like midnight when I made it. And the next day, price like whipped up a little bit. and people were saying, oh, Bitcoin's going up, we're gonna break the trend, and I just sat back. And you don't have to respond to these people. Everybody has their opinion, and if I was wrong, I would have apologized, and not apologized. I mean, you're a trader. Sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. You just strive to be more right than you are wrong. That's the whole point here, guys. And obviously, I'm doing this. I have made a living off doing this more profitably than non-profitably. But Bitcoin did fall down, as I predicted, and we retraced along this level. Now, if we measure the Fibonacci from this swing high to this swing low, we can see exactly where we fell, and we did fall to the 0.786 extension. We overshot the 0.618 extension, which has been occurring frequently. Now, if this is the move, if that's the move, if we've reached the swing low, what that means is, that means if we measure this move right here, if we measure the top to the bottom, that would mean typically, obviously, as a very wise trader once told me, after every move, there's always a retracement to the 0.236 level. So if you're using a good reversal strategy, I like to use TD sequential for reversal strategy. I find it's the most reliable reversal strategy that I've come across. You can modify Pivot's reversal strategy to kind of like lock that in a little bit more. But my problem with Pivot's reversal strategy, and not that I don't use Pivot's reversal strategy from time to time, is that it's kind of like Turtle's, like Turtle strategy, which I have also traded, and that it's just, it's not as razor, it's just not as accurate as watching an oscillator, as using your EMA. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you can trade it, like they're trend following strategies, both Pivot's reversal and Turtle's, in my opinion. Obviously, Turtle's is a trend following strategy, but a lot of people try to argue that Pivot's is a reversal strategy. I don't really feel that it is. I feel that it's a trend following strategy, and that's why I use Pivot's with sentiment analysis and ADX, DMI. So those are the indicators that I use together for that strategy. Now, for reversal, I find that it is far more germane to use something like Fisher's Transform by Ehlers, or to use RSI and MACD. I find that is, I mean, they're basic, they're standard, but if you're looking for more accuracy with your reversal, I find that just your good old oscillators are going to give you exactly what you need. Ichimoku, EMA or SMA crossover strategies. Those are not crossover strategies, but support and resistance strategies are often good. But obviously, I'm a firm believer in chart patterns and trend analysis, so that's where I'm basing this off of. So, if we kind of looked at this as a pitchfork, obviously we're not at the 50% mark. We're more like this. I say like this is the 40, maybe 35% mark. If this is the move, if this is the swing low, and we've retraced to the 236, and we're going to consolidate at this level, then I could see definitely movement up. Now, obviously, the potential is there for us to go down and touch and test this bottom line, but I feel it more likely that this is a nice, good move. This would give us three. I know that I'm cheating there a little bit, but you can, even if I drew it more fundamentally, that would give us three higher lows, and obviously we've experienced now two, more really if you want to count this one, quite a series of them. But ever since the swing high, this would be our second lower high, and this would now be our third higher low. So what we would be looking for here, obviously, is a lower high. And we would be looking for price to consolidate in a symmetrical triangle. And so the reason that I'm kind of excited about that is because that gives us the optimum consolidation period to buy into. As we reach the tip of the symmetrical triangle, price tends to consolidate quite heavily. And I would be looking for my indicators, like especially ADX, to kind of go below 25 for the trend to kind of go flat. And I would wait for, the breakout trade of that consolidation. And then the pullback, I wouldn't trade the initial breakout. Obviously, we're going to pull back to retest the support or the resistance as support. And then if that support holds, then it's off to the races for quite a while. I think that's going to be an extremely bullish movement. So, if you were to, if you had entered the market, let's take a look at, let's see here. So, let's take a look at TD sequential, and it's going to take a minute to compile. I apologize. All right. So let's take a look at our 9-hour chart. Now, obviously, let's see here. We had a nice perfected 8 count to the upside, and that would have given us a nice exit signal. Obviously, we could have taken the earlier perfected 9 count to the upside, and that would have saved us all of this, and we would have still locked in the profit from entering on the perfected 13 by countdown, the perfected 13 countdown. For those of you who aren't familiar with TD sequential, I'm going to be making more videos on that in the future, but it is the reversal strategy and trading strategy that we used for a long time here. So as you can see, to the upside, we had a nice perfected 9 count, which was our exit signal or our sell signal, and then we had a nice perfected 8 count to the upside, which would also have been a potential sell signal. So now we're descending into a buy count, and we see that we have a color flip here, a 1 to the upside, because we closed 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, because we closed slightly higher than that. That is super iffy, because then we had another color flip, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had I mean, these are all super close. So this could have been a 7, 8, and 9. And we see here where we canceled the countdown because we fell below TDST support. So really, obviously this is counting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, color flip, color flip, color flip. But, if you look at this in a more realistic way, I mean, obviously we're consolidating after a strong bearish momentum movement down. And that is after a pretty strong uptrend. Now, this is a highly volatile, a high momentum bearish move down. And that has me concerned. That does have me concerned. But it's going to take more than that to break this uptrend, because we have a strong uptrend and now we have a strong movement downwards. Now, typically the first strong move after a weak trend establishes the new trend. But when we have a strong movement down in a strong trend, that can mean several things. It can mean it can mean coordination. It can mean market manipulation. It can mean irrational exuberance. It can mean whales dumping. It can mean very large investors or institutional investors. And you needed, obviously, these are institutional investors because that's the kind of capital that you needed. This is institutional investors, or this is a coordinated dump by very high capital, high profile traders. And I'm more inclined toward the first. But again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, because you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist, because you can see that we had hit a reversal period. You could have used TD sequential or chart analysis and trend analysis to see that we had reached the trend line. That the trend was exhausting, and that's exactly what I said. When you look at forget this line. I understand what you might be saying. Well, we didn't have that line until we actually made the swing high. No, I'm talking about the failed breakout trade and the test of resistance, and then the failed breakout trade and anticipating a lower high after 2 higher lows for price to consolidate into a symmetrical triangle, because you would have to scroll back and look at the overall dominant trend of lower highs, because you've had 2 lower highs. If you have a higher high, then you're into a breakout trade. But that's not what you're anticipating. That's not the most likely thing. The most likely thing is for price to consolidate. And that's what we're looking for, because as we can see, this range is tightening up. And when it's bottlenecked like this, when it's moving into this bottleneck that I've charted here with a symmetrical triangle, that's gotten shaved off, and it'll get shaved off more as we get down there. But now, this is our current trend line. I can go ahead and delete what we have here. We don't need that anymore. And we can see that we're just continuing to shave off and shave off and shave off as we move further into the symmetrical triangle. And that is an exciting time, because if we've already had 4 bounces off the trend line to establish a trend, to establish a chart pattern. And that chart pattern is a symmetrical triangle. And when we reach, this means, guys, that we only have maybe 1, potentially 2 more tests left before we see movement, before we see a break of the trend and the continuation of the downtrend, or the reversal on high bullish momentum. Either way, whether you're short or long, at the moment I I'm long on Bitcoin. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell. That is for premium subscribers of Cracking Crypto. I'm currently market long right now. I entered market long upon obviously the oscillator symbol, the TD sequential, the way that I've looked at it, and the pivot reversal strategy gave a signal. But it's a strong buy across all radars, and also based on price action, based on this chart analysis. We've reached the bottom, and this is a good potential buy with a stop loss below support. Market long until we retest the resistance point here. Also based on the Fibonacci retracements. Based on the Fibonacci retracements, we retraced 0.618. I had to buy. I'd have to flip this around. Pardon me. Excuse me. There we go. Okay. And then we'll click and settings, and then we can just reverse that because we're measuring a different movement. Based on this movement, I had a buy set at the 0.618 and a buy at the 0.786 because those are the most likely points of retracement and the optimum buying point. As you can see, we've hit the 0.786 and we seem to be consolidating sideways. I have a stop loss below support. It is a very good P&L for my projected target from the 0.618 up 10% trade, 0.786 up 15% trade, and obviously I bought twice as many contracts at 0.786 as I did at 0.618 in order to dollar cost average my entry price down. So that's about it, guys. Let's go back to the lower third and let's do the calls to action. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed what I'm talking about. So, real quick. So I'll look at this chart real quick. So that, just for the people that don't follow me, I do speak fast. So obviously we are currently trading at $6,248.50 as of the recording of this video at this moment in time. I have a stop loss set below support around $6,080, and I have a target price of around 7,100, give or take. I have trailing take profit, and I'll reevaluate that when I get up there and my oscillators turn into a sell. But right now they're buys. So, tentative price. So that's a nice $800 movement right there. That's a nice 10 to 15% profit with a stop loss of about 3% loss. So I feel very, very good about that trade. Okay, calls to action. If you guys want to receive not only up-to-date market analysis every day, but also altcoin calls and altcoin chart analysis and hands-on technical analysis and a friendly, growing, fast, loving community to help you grow as a trader, then check out crackingcryptocurrency.com is the website, or hop into our Discord. That is where we are the most active, and that is the place to be at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. As always, don't forget to like this video if you did like it. If you don't like it, feel free to give it a thumbs down. All I ask is that you leave a comment in the section down below saying why you did or did not like the video so that I can improve my content and my work. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you'd like to see more of this content, make sure to click on subscribe and the little notification bell so that you don't miss a video, because I'm starting to make them more and more frequent. All right, guys. Peace.